Thank you for tuning in to our Sectional 13 preview exclusively on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, high school football fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for our Sectional 13 preview. Coming up, I'll give you the draw from Sectional 13 with the top storylines from the sectional. Then Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader and I interviewed new Indianapolis Star prep sports editor Kyle Neddenriep about what to expect from an intriguing Sectional 13 field. Then Michelle and I are joined by Grant Shouse of the Action Sports Network to predict our sectional champions. Please do us a huge favor if you like this podcast. Please share it with a high school football fan in your life, and please hit the like button. I know it sounds really dumb and nobody wants to do it, but it really does help spread the podcast to a wider audience. And if you love Central Indiana sports, you should probably consider subscribing. We also previewed sectionals 3, 4, 5, 6, and 12 and predicted the champions. We also previewed the sectional semifinals from sectionals 27 and 36. And on Thursday, Michelle, Grant, and I previewed and made our predictions from all of Central 11's Week 11 games in the sectional semifinals. We will be back on Friday night with our high school football scoreboard show sometime around midnight with scores and highlights from across Central Indiana and, honestly, across the entire state. And on Saturday, we will have part 2 of the scoreboard show, the aftermath conversation with local media and coaches about the sectional semifinals. And the sectional semifinals in sectional 13 have 2 heavy favorites, including 6 and 3 second-ranked Cathedral at 1 and 8 Anderson. On the other side, it's reigning Class 4A state champion New Palestine, ranked number 1 in the state, at 10th ranked Plainfield. The Quakers are 7 and 2. As good as Plainfield is, number 2 Cathedral and number 1 New Pal enter the sectional as the heavy favorites. In fact, whoever wins this will earn the mantle of state championship favorite going forward. 14-time state champion Cathedral leads the all-time series with Anderson 2-0. Both games in the sectional by a combined 126-13 in 2013 and 14. Cathedral has 27 sectional championships, 18 of them this century. The Irish started this season 1-2, but have won 5 of their last 6, including beating then 4A number 1 Chittard 21-15 and Center Grove at Center Grove 21-15. And last week they defeated Warren Central on the road 28-21. Anderson's lone win came 43-18 over Washington in week 2. The Indians have lost 7 games in a row. It's the first ever meeting between New Pal and Plainfield as the Dragons move up to Class 5A after their success in Class 4A. New Pal has won 15 sectional titles, 4 straight and 6 of the last 7. They've won 23 games in a row. Their last loss was 49-0 at East Central in the 2023 semi-state. The Quakers started the season 7-0 before late losses to 7-2 Decatur Central and 8-2 Whiteland. New Pal is the heavy favorite in this one, but that might be the toughest team they've played all year. I think what everyone is looking forward to in this one is the championship game, and we talked about that with Kyle Neddenriep of the Indianapolis Star. As I said, we kind of know what to expect this first week in Sectional 13. We continue our preview now with the Indianapolis Star's Kyle Neddenriep. And Kyle, I don't want to discount Plainfield, who's had a heck of a good season. But I think this sectional is all about the potential state finals type game in the championship between Cathedral and New Pal.
Yeah, it's a really interesting sectional. I think all year area. I think I even wrote this in one of the preview stories before the season was, I can't wait to see New Pal Cathedral. I feel the same way however many months later because I think that's a fascinating matchup. It's a matchup we've seen. I've covered a New Pal Cathedral at least once. I remember being out at New Pal, and it was when Charlie Spiegel was playing, and the crowd was just absolutely. I mean, you couldn't have fit another person into that stadium, and even people lining the fence, and it was just a fantastic atmosphere. And I think that could be the case again when these teams play each other. I'm trying to remember when that what year that was again, but regardless, I think it'll be a fun matchup. I think we'll end up seeing that game down the road. That would have been 2019. The New Pal won that game 35-10. It was closer than that for three quarters, and then New Pal kind of got away at the end. But yeah, I think that'll be a fantastic game. I will say, I was out at New Pal this week and talking to Kyle Ralph and kind of listening to after they got done with practice. He's talking to the team on Monday, and they just had a short sort of walk through practice, went through over some stuff, and then he was talking to the team. I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, but he just kind of said, hey, this is not going to be as easy, as we've had it throughout the year. This is a 5A team. They haven't played a 5A tournament game since 2021. A lot of their, he was talking to the team about, we just haven't faced a lot of adversity. We're going to face adversity on Friday. We're going to have a 3-and-out. We're going to have to punt. There's things we're going to have to do. It's not going to be 2 plays, 72 yards and a touchdown. And, we're going to have to go through some things and be fine with that. And I think that's a good message to his team. His team is really good. They are they're one of the few teams I can remember that's been this dominant at any level throughout the course of a season. There's been a few, but if you look at the numbers of what they've done this year, it's insane what they're doing. The schedule is going to get tougher immediately. Plainfield's a good team. I watched them play Decatur, covered that game. They were in that game against Decatur. So that tells you something. They ended up losing, I think, 38-19, but that was a closer game than the score indicates. They're gonna do some things at New Pal that probably some teams haven't done because they just are a good team. They can run and throw equally well. But at the end of the day, I think New Pal is better. I think that'll bear itself out by the end of the game. But I don't think it'll just be a complete whitewash either.
I was gonna say, Kyle, but it probably would be good for New Pal to be challenged by Plainfield because you figure they're going to get challenged the following week by Cathedral.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know which route you would rather have. I would probably pick Cathedral just because Anderson's not going to be able to put up much of a fight. I think Plainfield is, but I do agree. I think you do kind of want to, and especially if you're New Pal, less so Cathedral. Cathedral's been tested all year. Their schedule kind of tests them. They lose games every year. It's not like they're not accustomed to that. They're 6-3. They're not undefeated. But they've also played Brownsburg and St. Xavier, and they play all these teams they beat Warren Central and Center Grove, for crying out loud. They're a really good team. But yeah, I think it probably worked out for both teams. Cathedral probably wants to get healthy and probably figures, hey, we played good teams. We're fine. We'll get tested next week and that'll be good. But I think for New Pal's case, I think it will be good to kind of see somebody that can at least give you some trouble. And I think Plainfield's capable of. I think Plainfield will win, but I do think there's times in this game where they're gonna test New Pal.
Sounds like you're leaning toward Cathedral to win this sectional.
I don't know.
It's tough, man. I keep going back and forth myself.
I don't think I can pick this one yet. I don't know if this Friday will change anything in my mind, but man, I don't know. I really like what Bill Peebles does every year. I think his teams are from start to finish, like they're always better at the end. It seems like to me. You may see him week 1 and you're like, oh, that's kind of not a great Cathedral team, and then by week 9 they're beating Center Grove. So
14 points through 3 weeks this year.
That's the thing. It's like, and I kept being like, well, they're not that explosive on offense. They're really not. They're sort of a grinded out team. But I think that's how Cathedral is sometimes. They're grind you out. Their defenses are really good. They're not going to have all these crazy highlights and stuff like that. But their special teams are always good. Their kicker is outstanding. And I think that matters as well. On the other hand, New Pal is just so good. Even watching them last year at the end of the year, I'm like, man, that team's they're going to be a handful in 5A, no doubt about it. I didn't realize they'd be this dominant for the season, but yeah, I'm not ready to, I can't do it yet. I can't pull the trigger on a pick just yet on this one.
And probably the favorite football coach of the Central Indiana Sports Report is Anderson's Shane Arnold, and let's all say a little prayer for him.
Yeah. They weren't going to like their draw no matter what. I mean, that's a tough deal.
There was not a good one to be had, for sure. Kyle Neddenriep, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it as always.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
We heard once again from Kyle Neddenriep of the Indianapolis Star about Sectional 13, and I don't think anyone's excited about the games this weekend necessarily, although Plainfield New Pal could be somewhat interesting for a while. Everyone is interested to see what's going to happen the following week in the Sectional 13 Championship, which should be number 2 Cathedral at number 1 New Pal. Who's it going to be, Michelle?
Oh, you're talking about a sectional championship game that's really a semi-state level game.
It's a state championship game.
Yes,
they're the best too. I don't think it's close.
I don't think so either. And you're talking about two programs that are rich in winning. And Cathedral when they get bumped up to 6A, they can't make it through the tournament. But they've done very well in 5A, and they did very well in 4A. But then you've got New Pal.
And beat Center Grove this year. So, yes, they can beat 6A competition.
And what Coach Ralph has done is pretty amazing. Cathedral's going to roll this week. New Pal, I think, could get challenged a little bit by Plainfield. And I think I said a little bit, meaning doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to go and win 67. I'd be shocked if they won 60.
Plainfield is a legit good team.
Yes, which I think which I think will be a good thing for New Pal. I think they can, because Cathedral's going to want to is good enough to keep a game against New Pal. They're good enough to keep it close. And it's one of those, sometimes if your starters aren't playing 4 quarters a game. So I kind of hope the Plainfield does challenge New Pal into the set, at least through 3 quarters. So this is tough. Cathedral at New Pal. Coach Ralph is really good. I wouldn't be shocked if Cathedral wins this sectional, but I'm going to pick New Pal.
I'm going to pick New Pal as well. What they've done is just history. It's something that we'll talk about for years, and that Kyle Ralph is the fastest coach to 150 career wins, 150 and 14 in his career. He's got a juggernaut. It's unbelievable. The players they've had come through that program, the talent they've had come through, just the way you can tell they coach them up. It's unbelievable. But Cathedral.
But it's the same thing at Cathedral.
Yeah, it's a different animal. It's the exact same thing. And I think the IHSAA, when they realigned those sectionals, and they were like, look at that one right there.
That's right.
New Pal and Cathedral. It's a toss-up. So, Greg, I'm not going to answer. I'll answer it next week when I know more about them and they play in the championship.
You're allowed to be a coward.
I'm going to have to come back to you.
I'm taking New Pal too, Michelle, but I do not feel good about it. I think Cathedral might be that good.
I think it could be, yes. I don't blame Grant, but because he's going to wait a week, I'm going to reserve. If New Pal would suffer a key injury.
Hey, we're gonna make our pick next week too.
I was going to say, because if New Pal would suffer some kind of key injury against Plainfield, then I would probably go to Cathedral. And key injury might mean to your quarterback or your leading running backs, a guy that's not necessarily easy to plug in for 1 week later against a team as good as Cathedral. Oh, and by the way, I do feel for Shane Arnold and his Anderson and his tribe that has to play Cathedral. At least they don't have to drive down to Indy.
So we have 2 picking New Pal and 1 cowardly abstention. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks so much to Michelle and Grant for being so giving of their time and joining the Central Indiana Sports Report for all of these sectional previews. Don't forget, we also have sectional previews of sectionals 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 27, and 36. Please go check those out. Also, Michelle, Grant, and I predicted all of the games in Central Indiana. That podcast was released on Thursday. Please go find that one. We'll be back on Friday with our high school football scoreboard show, and on Saturday with the Aftermath podcast, where we just basically talk about what happened on Friday night. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a high school football fan in your life and help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.